Growing up, did you ever have a favorite book as a kid? Something that would fill your mind with wonder, that expanded your imagination? Or maybe you were lucky enough to experience movies that had so much wonder embedded into them that it made cogs turn in your brain. If you answered yes to both, I'm happy to say the movie we'll be talking about in this video evokes feelings exactly like this. The Magic Faraway Tree is a family fantasy adventure film directed by Ben Gregor. The movie stars Andrew Garfield, Claire Foy, Nicola Coughlan, Rebecca Ferguson, among a couple of others. The plot follows a modern family that relocates to the countryside where the children discover a magical tree with eccentric residents. They're transported to fantastical lands, rekindling their family bond through adventures. I had seen a total of one trailer for this movie, but I kept it in my head mainly for the fact that Andrew Garfield was starring in it, and I have it in my mind to try and watch pretty much anything the guy's in, no matter what the actual movies are about. At first I thought at first glance this was an original movie, but I found out it's actually an adaptation of a children's fantasy book by the author Enid Blyton, who's probably more known for writing the books of Noddy and the Famous Five series. The screenplay for this movie was written by Simon Farnaby, of all people, and for all you Americans that are watching that probably don't know this, he's part of a pretty great show by the name of Horrible Histories. Anyone outside the US didn't need to be spoon-fed that information, but I digress. Having all these facts in mind, did it pique my curiosity about this movie even more? Of course it is. With all that being said, what exactly did I think about it? I'm going to start by talking about the performances, leading with Andrew Garfield, who's known for his roles in movies like Tick Tick Boom and Under the Silver Lake. He does a great job in this movie for the screen time that he has. He blends into the role of a millennial dad trying awkwardly to be cool to his Gen Z kids really well, honestly. He has this charismatic nature to him, which always makes him pretty endearing in scenes. What really struck me, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, is some of the emotional moments his character is given in this movie. While these moments are very few, there's a particular moment towards the end that expertly shows how good of an actor this guy is. He portrays crying or being upset expertly well, to a point that it looks super realistic. The guy does great at choking up before his bursts of emotions truly come out, to the point where it can really tug at your heartstrings watching him. Claire Foy stars alongside Andrew Garfield as she plays mother of the family in this. She's known for her roles in movies like All of Us Strangers and First Man. I thought she did good in her role. She plays this kind of motherly figure to a pretty realistic degree. She isn't giving a whole lot of screen time here, but for the time she does have, there's times where she has her own brand of being endearing, and occasionally has some good moments of comedic timing too. The chemistry Garfield and Foy have together is really great to see too. I quickly, before some of the other performances, want to mention the kid actors in this. I don't really want to single each individual out, since I don't really think any of the three kids in this were that great. One of them I especially couldn't stand, but that is in fairness a testament to the actress for portraying the character in such a hateable manner. But yeah, they all just fall into this trap of being like modern child actors, where it usually sounds like all their line readings are done on the first take and are never acted very convincingly. Nicola Coughlan is in this movie as one of the residents of Magic Faraway Tree. She's known for her roles in movies like Barbie and Goat. Coughlan does a good job at acting whimsical in this movie. Her line readings are achieved with such awe and wonder coming from her voice, which helped elevate the character. From the moment she's introduced, her character is very endearing despite overall being pretty one note, which is more so down to the screenplay more than anything. Nonso Anozie plays Moonface in this movie. He's known for having roles in movies like Atonement and the Disney live-action remake of Cinderella. I thought he did good in his role. He had a good balance of being friendly while also having a layer of mistrust for the way his facial expressions tend to look at human characters. The guy had pretty good comedic timing, even if not every single joke landed. Rebecca Ferguson plays the villain of this movie. She's known for her roles in movies like Dune and Dr. Sleep. This is one of the rare instances where I thought she didn't work here. She had her usual brand of being menacing when the scene calls for it, but there's many times where her performance leads itself into being pretty hammy, and there's a lot of overacting from her in a way which I've never seen from her, but it definitely felt pretty awkward here. I thought the plot of this movie worked well for the type of story it had to tell. Obviously, I haven't read the original book series that this is based on, but I think the movie did a decent job at modernizing its source material. That being said though, I think the way the kids are written in this movie is pretty atrocious and out of touch. Every movie, especially family movie, that has come out since iPhones have always had this thing of kids acting like zombie sheep glued to screens and have them on the verge of vomiting when coming across a book. Like, unless you're one of these parents that shove an iPad in their kid's face the second they're out of the womb, children have a basic understanding of how things outside of technology work. This segment was a little annoying to sit through, but at the same time there was something about the vibe of this film that was oddly comforting, as the screenplay was really honing in on the family dynamics in this. All of the fantasy stuff is pretty cool and creative. I liked seeing all the different lands the characters had to go to. I liked the idea of each land basically acting as a way for the kids to learn valuable life lessons, which is a pretty easy thing to write in, but I did think it was pretty endearing to see here. I will say though, a major detractor is the entire segment that features Rebecca Ferguson's character. I felt as I was watching that this movie really didn't need a villain here, where some stakes are already established through the family drama, but this is a modern kids movie. We need a third act climax that has a bunch of shit happening. What bothers me most is that it feels like this is a literal detour from everything that's going on. You could write this out of the movie and it would change absolutely nothing. It just causes the thing to stagger a bit. I like the ending of this movie too. I think it wraps up things nicely. While I don't think this will do well at the box office, they've definitely written this in a way where they can act as a solo movie or make another one, as there are other books in this franchise to adapt. But the ending was nice, and it does feature the scene where Andrew Garfield had such great emotional acting, so that definitely gets a plus from me. The cinematography in this movie was done by Zach Nicholson, who's done cinematography for movies like The Death of Stalin and The Personal History of David Copperfield. While there isn't too many unique and creative cinematography going on, it still is shot well from start to finish. What I really appreciated in this movie was its color grading, especially. This movie could have done the obvious thing by having the human world lit very flat and dull, and have the fantasy world be overly saturated, but both parts feel full of life at times. The fantasy world actually looks more faker than the real world, but visually it's still nice to look at. Like, this makes me even more disappointed in how Wicked looks, as this movie, as a cool looking fantasy world, and manages to make that so much more vibrant every time that it's on screen. Another aspect I want to talk about from this movie is the music. The original score was composed by Isabella Summers, who's done music for Lisa Frankenstein and Dust Bunny. The music in this movie sounded pretty good. It does a good job of having that whimsical charm from different orchestration that is featured in every track, fits nicely in every scene that it's in. With all that being said, I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Obviously, it's not good to prejudge movies, but it was hard to tell from the trailers what sort of movie it would be. Not to say it looked terrible or anything, but I just couldn't put my finger on it, I guess. I just wanted this movie to actually be a good family film, rather than something like what Harold and the Purple Crayon ended up being. Anyone remember that movie? No? Okay, cool. I feel like this is a family film kids need nowadays. It's not going to do well, unfortunately, as the Mario movie is coming out around the same time, but it's interesting to see the contrast here, as while this movie has a lot of loud key jangling moments, with an extended fart gag which was pretty painful to sit through, which funnily enough is featured in the scene that I said could easily be cut out of the movie, I still think the overall messages that are embedded into this thing are impressive to still see being injected into movies like this. And for that alone, I'm giving the Magic Faraway Tree 3.5 stars. The movie is home to some pretty good performances, with Andrew Garfield really nailing everything he's given to do in this movie, while also having less favourable performances, like I said, from the main kids, and unfortunately at times Rebecca Ferguson is really just doing too much. Despite that though, this is a vibrant, visually interesting family film with important messages that will hopefully stick with kids that will go see this, whether the whole family goes to the cinema or if they end up watching it at home. Although I will say this movie is currently running in theaters, so I highly recommend anyone who's interested to watch this movie go check it out on the big screen.